welcome back to the channel. You're watching Unbiased Magic Reviews. This is the place you come to learn about the magic that you're gonna use. There's no fillers on this channel, and today I'm reviewing another Michael Boden masterpiece. That is a magic effect that you're going to use. Guaranteed, you're gonna love it because it's hard hitting, it's fast, direct, and it just blows away everybody. Specifically, I'm taking a look at his effect called Open Prediction A, and we're also going to touch on the variation, which is Open Prediction B. And just like usual, I will be leaving a WeTransfer link in the description below so you guys can download the explanations to these effects, because Michael Boden has been gracious enough to donate these to the magic community. What a great guy, right? And you guys should thank him for that. And so if you're not familiar with the plot, this plot and magic of the named card on the table stems all the way back to Ralph Hull and his effect, which was the Three of Clubs, and it was published in Greater Magic, as well as the variation, which was the Mental Card Mystery, which was published in Eye Openers. The reason why this card plot is really so well known and so well studied is because it's like an impossible coincidence effect where the magician places a card face down on the table and asks the spectator what card they think it is. And then when that card is the card that they just merely thought of, it's absolutely impossible, blows away everyone, which is why this is really a popular plot in card magic, very reminiscent of effects like the any card at any number effect when you think about it, because that's also an impossible coincidence. Now, this plot of the named card on table, the reason it's so powerful is because it's so direct. It's just a very direct, hard-hitting effect because the card is on display right from the beginning, and then impossibly when it's turned over, it's their thought of card that just doesn't make sense. It just blows them away. And if you actually search through the literature, you'll find many different versions out there. Some magicians like Ed Marlowe were very prolific, and they published many different variations in different magazines like the New Tops and in Hierophant. And I will also give you guys a couple other recommendations as we go. But I want to give you a little bit of my own history on this plot, because it was about 16 years ago when I was doing an elective rotation with Dr. Tannenbaum in New Jersey. And he is now a retired cardiologist. But I was in his office and we had just finished having lunch. And I had my deck of cards, and I had told him that I had done some magic, and he asked me to show him something. And so I took out my deck of cards and I proceeded to show him a Jay Sankey effect. I know back then I used to do some magic effects back then that today I would never touch. But this effect by Jay Sankey, you would put a card on the table and ask the spectator what card they thought it was. And then they would name a card, and then you would take another card out and put it on top and ask them what suit they thought that one was. And then after they named that, you would take out a third card, put it on the table, and ask them what color they thought that was. And then you would pick up the cards and show them that each one was correct. Well, I put out this card on the table. I just briefly looked at it. It was like a 5 of spades, and I put it on the table. And I asked Dr. Tannenbaum, what card do you think that is? And he said the 5 of spades. And I really wasn't ready for that, because I was like, whoa, like my mind just exploded, because I was like, wait a second, that's not supposed to happen. And so in that moment, I said to him, nah, that'd be good though, right? And he started to laugh. And then I said, well, wait a second, what if I do this? And I just kind of like made a motion over the card, and then that was it, I didn't touch it. He picked it up and turned it over, and he looked pale. I thought he was gonna fall out of the chair for a second. It was hilarious to just watch his reaction. And the next thing he did, to me, it kind of shocked me because I'd never seen anyone do it. He started to tear open the card because he was looking for a gimmick or a gaff or something, and he couldn't find anything in there. And then the funniest part was the rest of the day, he kept bugging me in between patients, asking me how I did it. He couldn't stop. He was just like, no, David, just tell me, how did you do that, really? And I was like, no, we just got lucky. And then he was like, no, we didn't. The more I said it, the least he believed it. He believed that on command I could do that at any point. So it really turned into like a reputation maker in that moment, which is really crazy when you think about it. But that was really the beginnings of when I started to study this plot. And as you can imagine, I've gone through every version that exists out there, really. Literally over 100 versions of this that I know of, at least in the literature that I've experimented. Some of them are very elaborate. Some of them use lots of extra things in them. Like if you take a look at Tommy Wonder's versions, they use all kinds of other apparatus and stuff like that. But the best versions obviously are the simplest and the most direct, because then there's nothing to find, nothing to hide. Looks absolutely impossible. So before I show you guys the Michael Boden version, I'm going to just show you the version that I used for years, which was really just my own handling of Ralph Hall's mental card mystery. And the reason why the mental card mystery was such a powerful tool was because the card that you used to turn over the tabled card, they would never think that that was switched, because you show it to them before you use it to turn over the other card. So that idea is not even in the mind of the spectator, and the excuse for why you're going through the deck makes sense, because you will be putting a card sight unseen on the table, and then after they name the card, you're going through the pack to see if the card they named is in there, because even you don't know the tabled card, which makes sense, right? So let's just quickly take a look at it so you can see what it looks like. All right, so this is my handling of Ralph Hall's named card on table effect. Now, this effect is monumental. I can't tell you how many people I've messed with their minds with this effect. And the reason why I think it's so strong is because it's very simple, easy to understand, and literally impossible. The idea that a card is put on the table, they name a card, and that's their card, that just blows people away. Anytime I've ever done this, I just get strong reactions. The reason why I never liked the original handling was because you had to take the card off the table, put it on the deck, and then turn it over. And I felt that that just ruined the effect completely. So here's my handling and my own nuances of it. Is when you start, you're giving the deck a shuffle. So your spectators can see that the deck is actually really being shuffled, so they can see that. You go to whoever's going to help you and you say, look, I'm going to drop some cards, just say stop anytime you like. So they say stop, and you say, look, do you want this card or this card? So you're giving them a choice, which is kind of nice. Maybe they want that card there. So then I tell them, all right, so obviously I've got a question for you. What card do you think that could possibly be? So in this example, maybe they say the 8 of hearts, for example. So you say, oh, okay, 8 of hearts. So I'm going to look here and see if that card is in here. Your card, the card that you just randomly stopped at. You know what? There's a joker in here for some reason. I don't know why I left that in there. Found the 8 of diamonds. You said 8 of hearts, right? Okay, let's take a look. You know what? I don't see it in here. Let's look one more time. That's really weird. I'm not seeing your card in here. So let me ask you this. How weird would it be if the one card that we isolated, the one card that you selected, how weird would it be if that one card just happens to be your 8 of hearts? Wouldn't that be really weird? And that really is strange. So you guys took a look at the version that I used for years, right? I still do. And especially if I have a nice soft close-up mat, perfect, great. But the problem is a lot of times you'll want to perform this type of effect and you won't have your close-up mat with you. Maybe you're performing on a marble tabletop, which you're not going to be able to do that. And so this is the reasons why I think that Michael Boden's version is the perfect version for the worker, for anyone who wants to perform this on the fly, anywhere, on any tabletop, because you don't need to have any special circumstances to perform his version. And I also want to add that I really like his presentation and his excuse for why he goes through the deck. I will tell you guys that the first time I watched it, it did fool me. And I mean, I knew that there was a switch involved, but the reason why it fooled me was because I didn't see any move. Because I was looking for the move, and then I was like, wait, I didn't see a move. I didn't see a move, and so that completely fooled me. Because I was expecting to see a move, and it wasn't there when it should have been. And I was like, wait a second, how did that happen? and I had that sensation that you get when you're completely astonished. It was just wonderful. But I'll tell you guys that this is the type of effect that you're definitely going to use because it's just so direct, it's so simple, so easy to perform, blows away anyone and everyone that I've showed it to, and the same thing is going to happen for you. So let's first take a quick look at it and then I'll give you some more details.
I'm going to ask you to think of a playing card, but I will ask that perhaps do not think of the Ace of Spades because it's a very popular card and a lot of people do think of that. Make it more difficult for me. I'm going to remove one card that I think you might be thinking of. Now, I'm not going to go with that one. I'm going to go with this one here. My second choice would be the one on the table. Now, you could have thought of any card. What card did you finally choose? Four of Diamonds? Four of Diamonds is a good card, but let me show you the first card I thought you might have thought of. This card here, the Seven of Clubs, did that ever cross your thoughts? No, but it could have, right? Just as any of these other cards you could have thought of. You could have thought of any card except the Ace of Spades, of course, because everyone thinks of the Ace of Spades. But no, this time you thought of the Four of Diamonds, and I did predict it ahead of time. The Four of Diamonds was the very card you thought of.
All right, so you guys took a look at the demo that Michael Boden had prepared, and you can see how simple, direct, fair, and hard-hitting this effect is. And what initially had fooled me so badly was that I didn't see a move when he took the ace off of the bottom of the deck. And because I didn't see a move, that totally fooled me. And that's why this was an effect that really caught my attention. And then what I really liked about it was I liked his variation of the Mexican turnover, which he called it the Mexican slide, because you could do it on any type of tabletop. You could do it on a marble tabletop because the one-handed Mexican turnover, it's a lot more difficult to do unless you're using like a close-up pad or a really soft surface. But this version by Michael Boden, you'll be able to perform it anywhere at any time, which is what makes it really practical. And the setup will just take you a couple seconds. Like what you have to add to your deck is like almost nothing. So you could be ready to perform this anytime, anywhere. And it really is hard hitting. I've gotten only strong reactions from it from people. And I really like how that turnover move, because of it, the spectators don't notice any discrepancy because it's almost like the larger motion hides the smaller motion. They'll never see anything. They never do, which is why I think you're really going to like it a lot. Anyway, I really can't say enough good things about it, as you can see, because it just ticks all the boxes. So let's take a look at his other version or his other variation of this, which he called the Open Prediction version B. It does use a completely gaff deck, but some of you may like that, so we're going to take a quick look at it.
In this particular version of Open Prediction, the spectator can think of any card. One card is laid face down upon the table. This is actually my second prediction. I went with my gut feeling instead of choosing the first card I thought you might think of. So name any card. They name any card. Let's say the Eight of Hearts, for example. You then go through the pack, showing them all the different selections they could have chosen, except for the jokers, perhaps. Now, I thought you were going to think of a black card, a spade. Actually, the Six of Spades I thought you were going to think of originally, but that wasn't the card you thought of. You thought of the Eight of Hearts. That's right, the Eight of Hearts. And of course, I was right on my second gut feeling. The Eight of Hearts was the card that you thought of after all. It doesn't matter what card they think of. They can name any card of the 52 within the pack, and the card laid upon the table is always the card that they thought of.
All right, so you guys took a look at the demo of the Open Prediction version B. And like I said, for me, I would never perform that just because it's a completely gaff deck, which you can only use for this one effect. But I'm including it because I think some of you might like it, and it's just another option for your arsenal. The last thing I want to tell you guys is that for those people that are interested, there is another version of this plot that I would highly recommend to you if you're somebody who performs with just a shuffle deck in use. You know, you don't want to have to carry around any extra cards, and maybe you want one that you can perform on the fly with a borrowed deck, right? So for those of you, I would recommend that you check out John Rockerbomber's version that was published in Genie Magazine 2021. I think it was the February issue, okay? The February issue of Genie Magazine. The name of the effect was called Hull Bullish, is what it was called. I think that's what it was called at least. But I know it was in 2021 February. Just look that up and you'll find it in there, John Rockerbomber. And it's from a completely shuffled deck in use. And the magician puts a card on the table face down and asks the spectator if they had to guess what they thought it was. They're going to name a card. Then you're going to tell the spectator that you want them to have a card in mind. So you're going to have them just pick a card. They're going to just, you know, see a card in the pack, keep that in their mind, and then you let them shuffle the deck. And then you're going to tell them that you're going to try to get a sense of the card that they're merely thinking of. You take out a card and you say, name the card that you saw in the deck, the one that you're really thinking of. They name a card and you show them that it's actually the mate to the card that they actually were, the one that they selected or that they saw in the deck. And then you can scoop up the card on the table and show them that the card on the table is actually the card they originally named from the beginning. And the reason why I like the effect is because it's extremely simple to perform. And again, it's from a shuffle deck in use, no difficult sleights. You can perform it anywhere, anytime. It's a great effect, but there is a little bit of, you know, procedure involved, which is why I think Michael Boden's version is better. It's just a lot more direct in terms of this plot. But for those people that don't want to carry around any extra cards, then it's something they may want to take a look at. And it's something that you can have ready to go at any moment whenever you want to perform something. So anyway, that's everything I wanted to tell you guys about this effect from Michael Boden. I would encourage you to download the effect and the explanation now while it's available, because it's only going to be available for a few days. And I would also encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because if you're not subscribed, you possibly could miss out on one of these videos where I'm giving away effects from like Michael Boden. And if you are watching this video like 3 months from now and you're like, oh, the downloads don't work anymore, you know, I make no promises of re-uploading anything. And my highest recommendation to you is subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss out on awesome effects like this that are being given away to the magic community. Thanks to Michael Boden and his generosity, of course. So in, you know, long short, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on these awesome effects. Anyway, as usual, I invite you guys to leave me any comments below, any questions, and continue to perform the best magic you can. I'll see you guys on the next review.